How did a kid with no experience in the fashion industry build one of the most luxurious fashion brands and become the richest person in Europe and the world today? In today's video, we explore the life of Bernard Arnault, how he built the largest luxury goods empire, and his rise to become the richest man in the world. Arnault is the brain behind the luxury fashion conglomerate LVMH, or commonly known as Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy. He entered the luxury goods market in 1984 without prior experience, but today he has built a multi-million-dollar empire that is synonymous with luxury and class. However, this outstanding success did not come without hostile takeovers and ruthless business strategies to remain in power. This is the story of how Bernard Arnault built his successful LVMH empire. Arnault was born on March 5, 1949 in Roubaix, France. His family owned and operated a construction company called Ferret-Savenel. After graduating from the prestigious École Polytechnique, he joined his family business as a young engineer in 1971. However, he had greater ambitions beyond construction, and after a few years of working with the company, he was able to persuade his father to shift the focus of the company to real estate. His father obliged, and the company was renamed Arnault, where he rose through its managerial ranks until he became the chairman in 1978 at the age of 29. Despite his apparent success at Arnault, Arnault wanted an enterprise that he could scale at a global level. Almost at the same time, the French government wanted someone to take over the struggling Buzac Saint Frere textile conglomerate. This company controlled several assets, including the Christian Dior brand and the Le Bon Marché department store, among others. Arnault's mother had a fascination for Dior, which became an obsession for him. So in 1984, he acquired the Financière Agache holding company with $15 million of family money and $65 million in financing from Lazard Frères. He eventually won the bidding war for the company he had coveted for years. However, since Arnault was only interested in the Christian Dior brand, he took a ruthless approach to reinvigorate the ailing company. First, he sold nearly all the company's assets, leaving only the Christian Dior brand and the Le Bon Marché department store. Dior was a household name already while Le Bon Marché had been existing for more than a century. Next, he laid off 9,000 workers in an action that earned him the nickname the Terminator. His method of operating a business seemed ruthless, but after a few years of running the company, he returned the group of profitability by 1987 and made Dior the cornerstone of the new organization. Today, Arnault is famous for being the chairman and CEO of LVMH, but only a few people know about the story of the hostile takeover behind it. It was described by the Times magazine as a corporate duel to death. After acquiring Buzac Saint Frere, Arnault had his eyes on even bigger goals. He wanted to head the world's largest luxury conglomerate within 10 years. His goal also included taking over the Dior perfume subsidiary under the control of LVMH, a company formed in 1987 through the merger of Louis Vuitton leather goods and Moet Hennessy labels in fine spirit. But there was one problem. Both companies that came together to form the merger had a long history of family heritage and were both successful in their own rights. Therefore, none of them was ready to have an outsider take over their company. The Louis Vuitton subsidiary was headed by Henri Racamier, who was the husband of Odile Vuitton, the great-granddaughter of the Louis Vuitton company's founder, while the Moet Hennessy group was led by Alain Chevalier, who equally acted as the chairman of the LVMH group. However, a fight ensued between Chevalier and Racamier, giving Arnault an opening in the company. Racamier, who was displeased with his position as number 2 in LVMH, was always at loggerheads with Chevalier. He was running Louis Vuitton as if he was its sole owner. For instance, Racamier once attempted to bring the former head of the Chanel fashion house to be his successor, but Chevalier disagreed. What caused the biggest rift, however, was when Chevalier noticed a mysterious rise in the stock price of LVMH. Sensing a hostile takeover is about to take place, Chevalier suggested to Racamier that LVMH should sell a 3.5% stake in the company to Guinness PIC to prevent a takeover, to which Racamier agreed. But Chevalier soon decided that a 3.5% stake would not provide enough protection, so he suggested that the LVMH should sell a 20% stake to Guinness PIC instead. Predictably, the suggestion infuriated Racamier, who felt Chevalier wanted to sideline the Louis Vuitton leather goods for wine and spirits. He began his quest for an ally who shared the same vision about luxury goods. He met Arnault and invited him to bid for 25% of LVMH's stock, which would give Louis Vuitton and Buzac majority control. Seeing this as the perfect opportunity to fulfill his dreams, Arnault jumped at the opportunity, but his investment banker, Antoine Bernheim of Lazard Frères, warned him to be careful dealing with Rocamier. Instead, he encouraged him to make friends with Chevalier and Guinness Pick, which were more powerful. Arnault heeded Bernheim's advice, and in July 1988, he partnered with Guinness to form a holding company that bought a 24% stake in LVMH for $1.5 billion. When Rocamier found out he had been betrayed by the one he invited to join the company, he started buying up LVMH stock. But Arnault responded by spending $600 million in 3 days to increase his holdings to 37.5%, making him the dominant shareholder in LVMH. In January 1989, Arnault bought more stock to increase his holdings to a staggering 43.3% of LVMH's shares and 35% of its voting rights. Arnault was voted as the new chairman, while Rocamier was ousted by the person whom he thought was a younger version of himself. The French media dubbed the battle the young wolf versus the old lion. Today, the LVMH group, under the leadership of Bernard Arnault, manages over 70 brands and 5,000 stores across the world. The group caters to people in the upper echelon of society in all sectors of the luxury market, from wine and spirits to fashion and leather goods, perfumes and cosmetics, watches and jewelry, and selective retailing. Arnault was able to build LVMH into a leading luxury conglomerate by bringing various famous brands under a single umbrella. He is known for recruiting the best designers from across the world to create eye-catching designs that have become synonymous with success. One of the first companies he acquired after becoming the chairman of LVMH was the French luxury brand Celine. Next, he expanded his empire by buying Berluti and Kenzo in 1993. His biggest acquired asset, however, is the U.S. jeweler Tiffany & Company in January 2021 for a staggering $16 billion. Among other luxury brands under the LVMH umbrella are Fendi, Givenchy, Marc Jacobs, Leo, Sephora, Princess Yachts, and Bulgari. Arnault is a visionary leader who had held the position of CEO and chairman of the LVMH Group since 1989. He is currently 73 years old, but he is still actively running the family empire to ensure its continuity long after he's gone. And one of the ways Arnault is preparing his family empire for continuity is by keeping the ownership and leadership within the family. He has 5 children, and all of them hold important management roles at brands in the company. Delphine Arnault is the oldest child in the Arnault dynasty, and she was recently announced as the new CEO of the Christian Dior brand. She previously served as the executive vice president of the Louis Vuitton brand since 2013 and is also a member of the LVMH's board of directors. Antoine Arnault, who is the second born of the family, is also a member of the LVMH's board of directors. In addition to this, he holds the position of head of communications for LVMH since 2007, as well as the CEO of the holding company of LVMH Christian Dior SE. The third member of the family is Alexandra Arnault, and the executive vice president of the U.S. jewelry brand Tiffany & Co. The fourth child, Frederic Arnault, is the CEO of Tag Heuer, while the youngest member of the clan, Jean Arnault, is the director of marketing and development at Louis Vuitton Watches division since August 2021. Arnault had an unusual start in the fashion industry, having begun his career as an engineer in his father's construction company. However, his sheer determination and ruthless desire for power have helped him build the leading luxury conglomerate in the world.